Hi, Meetu.
Setting up your meeting.
Well, it shows on my screen that it's there. So I guess we'll,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
Hi,
Um,
Meetu. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been what, 24 hours?
Yes, 24
But
hours.
thanks for checking in. This is what a true relationship feels like. Now that we're not doing these talk sessions on the call anymore,
I know.
feels a bit different. But so, everyone, welcome to our live talk, Sensibility and Senseless. Uh, I'm your host, Arushi Sharma, and this is Meetu Sehgal.
Hello. Welcome. Welcome all the subscribers and thank you for showing all the love for showing up here and subscribing and actually coming here and listening to the live that we're doing today.
Meetu, I must say, we got like a really impressive response. Like, people have started questioning me on, oh, I didn't know this about you. And oh, even though I feel that I didn't divulge any private information as such, but it was just funny to me that people were surprised to see me talk about things that they thought never happened or were different or whatever.
Yeah.
So, especially when it comes to relationships. So, today we're here to talk about self love and boundaries, right? And we did mention it yesterday in the teaser as to what boundaries are, and you gave a very beautiful imagery about um, when we're thinking about boundaries, what should we think like at the base of this term ki, what comes to our mind when we're thinking about boundaries. So let's talk a little bit about self love. So what do you think is uh like comes under self love? I know it's not um a spa or like candles and like chilling with a book in your hand. So what more is there?
Um, So, to understand self-love, we have to understand what does love actually mean.
Mm-hmm.
And this might go a little out of the scope for today, but I'll still touch upon it. Okay. So, most of us feel love is about caring, about, taking care of others, about thinking about them and really considering them and making decisions. But love is much more than that. Love is a feeling wherein you are present for the person. Love is when you are really taking the time to getting to know them, and you are respecting them. You are respecting them as a human being, as an individual, and you are also setting them free, because love is not about obsession and being possessive, and love is not about wanting to have the other person all for yourself. Love is also about you have your space, you have your individuality, I have my own space and my own individuality. So love is a feeling that makes you feel as if like it's a fresh breath of air, and it's something very natural. Now, if we talk about self-love, it's doing the same for ourselves,
Mm.
being our best friends, being present for us, respecting our own boundaries, our own opinions, respecting who we are as a person, respecting ourselves even for our weaknesses and even for the downsides or the shadow sides that we talk about.
Wow, yeah.
So, a lot of people say that, what I like about myself is that I'm very outgoing and I can do this and I can do that. But what I don't like about myself is I can be really emotional and sensitive, or I can really be lazy and procrastinate. But then, if you cannot love a part of yourself, then that's not really self-love.
Mm.
Now, this can be like confusing for people, because when I talk about self-love with my clients, they're like, if I start loving myself, I will not improve or change.
Hmm. Interesting.
Because it's like, if I become okay with the part of me that is probably, let's say somebody says I procrastinate too much or I'm lazy too much. How can
Yeah.
I love that about myself?
Yeah.
Point is, when you're loving yourself, you are accepting who you are, where you are. But it does not mean that, you stop trying to change or grow or evolve.
Yeah.
And let's face it, you cannot change something or you cannot do something good for someone unless and until you don't like them.
Mhm.
If you don't like somebody, you will not do anything for them. The same goes for yourself. If you don't like a part of you, you will not do anything about it.
Yeah.
Like having the kindness and compassion is also about love. So that is self love. It's like, I love myself for the good and I love myself for the bad too.
Oh,
Because loving myself means I am willing to look at it and maybe do something about it. And with kindness, not through criticism, not through pushing myself. So that's also self love. It's about respecting who I am, where I am right now.
yeah. I must admit, when you mentioned love is about letting the person be free and it's not about possession and this and that. uh, I'm so sorry to all the viewers who are a fantasy fiction enthusiast. Sorry, guys. The books have been spoiled for us forever, courtesy Meetu. So even if you are reading those, I'd say it's okay. Let's take those books with a pinch of salt and not like really apply them in our real lives.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is very insightful. Like you've given so much. Like you've practically covered like the whole daily routine kind of aspect. Like every step of the way in the morning when you look in the mirror. What do you see? Like, do you love yourself or do you hate a few parts about yourself and stuff like that? This is really something to think about for everyone, I'd say.
Yeah.
So, starting with our first question, we got a query. Uh, this was because, for the sake of confidentiality and privacy concerns, we're going to keep all the queries anonymous. So, one of the queries that we received was somebody said, I want my partner to do everything with me and support me. Does this mean I have no boundaries? How would you
Hmm.
like to answer that?
Um, well, if you want your partner to do everything with you, you kind of asking them to be completely and exactly like you. And that's probably not possible. No two
Yeah.
people are alike. They may have similar interests, but it cannot happen that one person has all the interests that the other person has. So if you expect them to do everything with you, that's expecting them to just, do whatever you want. Um, and what if they choose not to do something with you? Let's say for lack of interest or lack of time.
Hmm.
What would that mean for you? Would that mean that they don't love you
Yeah.
or they don't consider you important? So
Yeah.
it's like you're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up for more conflict in a relationship.
Yeah.
So if you're expecting to do everything with your partner, you know, it's just puts so much pressure on one relationship and denying every other relationship in your life. Because let's face it, you don't just have one relationship in life. You also have your friends, you also have your family, and you want to do some activities with them too. And it's great to have the desire for your partner to share everything that you do in life.
Yeah.
But as long as you don't hold it against them if they're not willing or if they cannot.
Yeah. I think this reminds me of the conversation that I had with you 7 years ago.
Okay.
I remember when I started taking sessions from you. For all the viewers, yes, I have taken many, many sessions from Meetu, and she's been my personal transformational coach for 7 years now. Yeah. So
Yeah.
precisely 7 years ago, when we started this journey, um, when I started this journey with you, I remember you telling me this when I had a very similar thing. So this resonates with that. I came from a space where I wanted my partner to do everything with me, and maybe it has something to do with the love languages we touched upon during our Instagram live. That the acts of love. That
Mhm.
if you're not doing this with me or doing this for me, then it doesn't mean that you love me. But I think there has to be a certain type of healthy balance between things, right? Like just you pointed out, like um the partner cannot be everywhere. Similarly, it's not possible for me to be for someone else all the time, right?
Yeah.
Because I have my
Absolutely.
own space, I have my own life, I
Yeah.
have work, my my pets and all that. So I genuinely can't do everything, you know. But yeah, I think there has to be a certain balance, like you said. So
And
yeah, but like
just to add to that, I think what you said is really important. You know, having a life of your own is so important in a relationship. I'm reminded of this tarot card from the Osho Zen, which is the Two of Water,
yeah,
Two of Cups, and this card shows a very beautiful relationship, and it shows two trees. One is yellow in color, the other is pink in color.
I
And
remember.
while trees are together, and
Yeah,
yet you easily make out the yellows and the reds in each other, which means a relationship is about maintaining your individuality while you are in a relationship.
yeah.
In order to do that, you have to be aware of your individuality before you get into a relationship.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, it's so easy to get lost in, somebody else's world.
Hmm.
And that again can be very scary sometimes, especially if the relationship begins to go through a rocky phase. And
Yeah.
every relationship does that. Every relationship goes through a rocky phase, and it's
Hmm.
it's a part of a cycle. So
Hmm.
during those phases, if you want to make sure that you are not reacting rather than responding to situation, you want to make sure you have and maintain a life of your own. And
Yeah.
for that, it will mean you have to understand who you are as an individual and what kind of life do you like to live. And it could change, the definition could change over the years, and that's okay. But it's about really having and creating a life
Yeah.
so that you're not getting into somebody's life. You are actually bringing two lives together.
As heavy as that sounds. So, the latter part of this question, does this mean I have no boundaries? So, what do you think? Does this person has no boundaries if she's expecting a certain behavior from their partner? She or he?
um it could mean that they have weak boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
It can also mean that because they are not respecting their boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
they will not respect their partner's boundaries too. And that will not show up in just this area, it will show up in a lot of other areas in the relationship.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
it all comes down to expectations. I expect the other person to behave in a certain way.
Yeah.
But if they don't behave in a certain way, it means either they don't love me or I am not good enough. Now, in both the cases, these are both assumptions. They may or may not be true.
Yeah.
Now, the moment you fall into the trap of assumptions, you take a very beautiful relationship into a rocky phase.
Yeah. Very true.
So sometimes we create our own ups and downs, and it's important to have those boundaries and understand what does it mean for me as a person.
Yeah. Interesting. So the next query we have is somebody said, sometimes I'm unable to communicate my needs. No, wait. Actually, this happens a lot. That's what they said. I don't want to be a burden on my partner. What should I do?
Okay. Um, I think the next question I would ask is, what does it mean by being a burden on your partner if you're communicating your needs? Now, a lot of people have this belief that, especially those who have difficulty with communicating,
Yeah.
that if I communicate my needs, it will be a burden for my partner.
Mm-hmm.
What they're essentially saying is, my needs are a burden.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know this.
And if you are assuming that my needs are a burden, that means somewhere in your childhood, it was conveyed to you either intentionally or unintentionally that when you convey a need, it becomes a burden for us.
Hmm.
Or the child may have assumed that from a behavior that their parent exhibited. It may not necessarily be that. So, in order to really understand what is happening, you want to understand, is my need really a burden for me?
Hmm. That's actually very interesting to think about. But if, let's say, this person is traumatized, right?
Hmm.
It'll be difficult for them. Correct me if I'm wrong. It'll be difficult for them to even reach to this stage where they can analyze the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is where therapy comes in.
And that is where everybody listening to us right now, please sign up for a session after this, okay?
In a therapeutic session, whether it's an EFT session or whether it's a, a psychological counseling session, you are able to unpack your trauma
Mm-hmm.
and process it and release it from the system.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's what we are essentially doing in therapy. We are unpacking the frozen bits of trauma in the body,
Yeah.
uh, patterns that have been formed as a result of it. And
Yeah.
we are releasing this trauma so that you are more in control of how you behave and how you feel and how you think, being rather than feeling like a slave to what happened.
Yeah.
So when people, and it could happen through more awareness also.
Mm-hmm.
It whether you choose to go for a therapy or not, it all comes down to wanting to change this pattern of yours, behavior of yours.
Yeah.
And the moment you want to do this, resources come to you, either through your own awareness or through people in your life who can really help you as professionally or personally.
Yeah. Well, that does put a lot of things in perspective. Like, I was aware about a few things before you said it, but yeah, it does make a big difference when you're aware of things, what's happening and stuff.
Mm.
Meetu, this reminds me, I recently met someone, and um, as beautiful a soul as this person is, I'm sure they are, they shared this vulnerable side of theirs when they mentioned that, you know, like basically they shut down when they open up. They're aware of who they are. We
Hmm.
talked a lot about self-sabotage and how they like do it in their life and stuff like that. But that person, despite sharing this with me, eventually did shut down.
Yeah.
And this was such like probably a few years ago, I would have been offended by that, like how is this person not talking to me and this and that. But then I realized this person already gave me a disclaimer, you know? And
Yeah.
to some extent, this actually works in a way that when you're aware of what's happening and when you've worked on your own issues a few times or whatever, like for a few years, you can actually be more aware of what's happening around you, and it doesn't bother you or doesn't affect you emotionally that much, I'd say.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, this was something that clicked just about when you were talking about this. So to this person who said, what should I do about they don't want to be a burden on their partner, your advice would be to first unpack their needs being a burden and
Heal your trauma, understand where this is coming from,
yeah,
either speak to a therapist, or you could book a session with me or with any other therapist that you resonate with. And then also do some self analysis, do some self contemplation. What does
yeah,
my need mean? What does being a burden mean?
yeah,
And if I were to present my needs to myself to fulfill, would that be a burden?
yeah,
Just
very true.
turning around, the whole dynamic sometimes creates a lot of breakthroughs.
It does. Well, well said. Moving on to the next query we have. Somebody said, I think I have very strong boundaries, so much so that my partner doesn't communicate a lot of things, being scared of me. What does
Hmm.
it mean? Do I have healthy boundaries? And is this my partner's fault for not communicating?
Hmm. That's an interesting dynamic. Like, yesterday, I shared, is your boundary a wall, an impenetrable wall of a fort? Or is it a beautiful fence with a door in it? Or is it just a small window? Or is there no boundary where anybody can just walk through and through?
Yeah,
So when you say, that people are, or my partner is unable to communicate to me,
yeah,
again, we have to understand relationship is a two-way game.
yeah,
It's a tango and it takes two to tango.
yeah,
So I would not say it's completely one person or the other person's fault.
yeah,
It's just that you can only assess your role in the dynamic and do
mm,
something about it. The other person's role has to be taken on and fulfilled by them.
yeah,
So if your partner is unable to communicate their needs, that's their stuff that they need to work through.
yeah.
If you feel your boundaries are too strong, talk to your partner, ask them about it.
Like if that's the reason why they're not able to communicate.
Yeah, if that's the reason. And if you feel that, it's maybe you could do some modifications to how you present your boundaries,
Yeah.
then yeah, definitely. Why not? We all have scope for growth. I would not say fix yourself because we're not broken. But yes, we're always growing and we're always learning. So why not? I mean, grow yourself. It's important to always keep growing as an individual. Like my mentor always said, we are always a work in progress.
We are. So this is so beautiful to understand. We are always a work in progress while we are nobody is meant to be fixed.
Yeah.
But a lot of people this may mean the same thing, but words are so powerful when you have to, work on your own self and what goes in your head and the psyche and the impact of these words. Oh my God. Like yeah, definitely. We're all a work in progress.
Like we're
Interesting.
always learning, we're always growing. I mean, look at yourself 10 years ago. The way you saw the world, it's not like you fixed yourself, but it's like your perspective evolved as
Yeah.
you evolved as a person. And evolution is the truth. It's the truth of the universe, and we are always evolving. And that is growth. If you stop evolving, then you're might as well be a dodo. So keep evolving, keep growing, but it doesn't mean there's something wrong that you have to fix.
That's a very gentle way to put it. I like that. I'm going to take that from you and I'm going to copy paste it everywhere in all my sessions. Courtesy me too. Moving on to the next query. I don't think I have boundaries with my partner. Have we taken this? Yeah, no, this is a different one. I don't think I have boundaries with my partner. I mean, I don't even think I need them. I mean, there should be someone who doesn't have to cross mountains to reach out to you, right? Isn't that what love is about anyway? So this person was basically a lot in their thoughts. So they're clarifying ahead. Considering my thoughts, I think I'm scared to lose my partner if any boundaries existed between us whatsoever. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
that's what this person has wrote.
So if you think boundaries are like mountains, then probably that's what you've been doing when it comes to establishing boundaries.
Mm,
Like, let me put it in a very simple way. Your house has a fence, has a boundary wall, and has walls, and it has a door and window.
yeah,
Does that mean no one can enter your house? No. Some people are free to come and go. Some people have to have your permission to come and go.
yeah,
But everybody needs to have permission to come into your room, or let's say your bathroom, when you're using it.
yeah,
Okay. Now, if you say, I don't want to have any boundaries with my partner, it just kind of says that if I have boundaries, I will push them away.
yeah,
So, does that mean is the relationship so fragile that you having to have your own space
yeah,
can jeopardize the relationship?
yeah,
Now, it might feel like, in the initial stages of love, you might want to kind of be all entangled with your partner, although it's not a very healthy thing to do. But then the honeymoon phase is
yeah,
that's what happens. But um, having boundaries also means having space. It's like, your skin is your boundary.
Yeah.
Your body's boundary is your skin in a very tangible sense. I'm
Yeah.
not even talking of an aura or an energy boundary.
Yeah.
If you don't have boundary, if you don't have your skin, what will happen?
Yeah.
What's inside will keep spilling out. And, it's like, how will the other person even embrace you if you don't have a boundary, if you don't have a skin?
Very powerful imagery again. Thank
You
God
know,
I've had lunch before. Yeah.
if you don't have your boundary, it means if you don't have your personal space, um, there will be times, especially no matter how what your attachment style is, if you are especially anxiously attached to your partner, and if you would want no space between you and your partner, nothing comes from hiding.
Not me. Anybody who's watching it, not me, guys. Yeah, you were saying.
Don't have a space, there will come a time, even for anxiously attached people, when they'll be like, oh God, it's been too much. I want some space. I want to run away from this. And then the cycle of the relationship will be either enmeshed or completely separated. Enmeshed, completely separated. And there'll be no in between there. It's like either I'm talking to you 24/7 or I'm not talking to you for months altogether.
I don't know why I've never done this. I've not done the latter.
Or
But
I'm not
yeah, like,
talking to you ever because it's been
yeah,
too.
yeah. I think the latter is that because when I'm done, I'm done, like
Yeah. So
whatever.
if you have your boundaries, that's gonna happen. Either you're too into it or you're completely out of it. There's
Hmm.
no balance there.
Hmm. You're striking a lot of chords here. I'm not sure about the viewers, but I think I might need a session after this. Just saying. Um, yeah, that's something very important to consider when it comes to boundaries. And ah, wow, okay. I'm gonna take some time to digest this. Meanwhile, we can take the next query. This person said, I think self love is when you love yourself, but if you have a partner, why do you need to love yourself?
If you have a partner, there's even more need to love yourself. Otherwise, how will your partner know how to love you?
Oh, you should do a quote session as well. Like, these are the quotes by Meetu. So they go
Because
on by asking, yeah, go
you
on.
know what? We teach the world how to treat us.
Yeah.
That's just like there's a law of attraction, there's a law of reflection.
Mm,
It's one of the laws of the universe, which says the world reflects what I do.
yeah.
So if I love myself,
Yeah.
I am teaching the world how to love me. If I
Interesting.
respect myself, I am teaching the world how to respect me. If I am disrespecting myself, I'm teaching the world
How to
to
distribute.
disrespect me.
Well, yeah.
And I'm going to bring the first question. I think this first question. If I am, if my needs are not important and a burden for me, I am teaching the world that my needs are a burden for you.
Yeah.
So self-love is where it all begins. If
Mm,
I know how to love myself, the world knows how to love me, or my partner knows how to love me. And it's a very subconscious communication. We don't do it consciously.
yeah.
I'll give you a very simple example. There are some people that, let's say we treat them very casually. Yeah, everything works for them. That's okay. But then there are some people with whom we are extremely, um, I would not say cautious, but we are more mindful of how we are behaving and how we are treating them. What's the difference? You are the same person doing different behaviors for different people. What's the difference then?
Yeah.
It's the other person who, it's if the other person treats themselves with respect, you will treat them with more respect. If they take themselves more seriously, you will take them seriously. If they take themselves more casually or not seriously at all, then you will do the same to them.
On that note, there's a very perfect example. A lot of, I'd say it comes under the being a mother kind of ideology, especially in India, that mothers are known to feed everybody first and then they will eat in the last, like in the end.
Yeah,
And because of the fact that we have seen this and we've been brought up in that environment, we feel it's okay to put ourselves in the end
yeah,
because this is what we've learned. This is normal. This is okay because this is what something we have seen when we were kids, and we thought everybody around us was okay with that. So maybe this is the norm, and we have to follow the norm.
yeah.
Yeah, that is something that comes to mind when you say this.
And this is, as good you said that, because this is like a special note to the parents out there.
Hmm.
You want your children to respect themselves when they grow up with their friends, with their peers, in their relationships. You begin by respecting yourself,
Yeah,
begin by putting yourself first.
yeah,
And it might bring up more guilt for you if you put yourself first, but you're also teaching your sons and daughters, especially daughters, that it's okay for them to put themselves first. And that is one very powerful way to ensure they will not go into toxic relationships.
something to really think about. Yeah. So this person, the query that we were discussing, they go on to say, they're there to love you, right? Like you don't need to love yourself because the partner is there to love you, and it feels so good to know someone is taking care of you all the time. Okay, I have a personal bias against this, but moving on. But this doesn't happen in real life. I'm often let down by my partner. This does happen in the movies though. I used to think movies are based on real life. Well, I don't think I know what love feels like other than those Shah Rukh Khan types, you know. So for all the viewers who are unaware of Bollywood movies, Shah Rukh Khan is a very famous actor. And how would you like to answer this, Meetu?
I would just say there are also movies where they show the hero being hit by 10 bullets and yet surviving and moving and fighting. And, so movies are definitely not the reality. We've been brought up on that diet of it. But, and yes, most of our ideals of relationships are based on either the movies that we saw as kids or fairy tales that we read or saw.
Yeah.
Being the damsel in distress, being the needy one. But in real life, that's not a very healthy way to survive. Because look at it this way, it puts so much burden on your partner to do everything in the relationship.
Yeah.
And when we talk of relationship, I said it takes two to tango.
Yeah.
They are bringing something to the relationship. What are you bringing to it besides your needs?
Besides being a damsel.
Distress or pretending to be in distress.
Yeah.
What are you bringing to the relationship? How are
Just
you
wearing
making
nice
life
clothes.
better? It's like, I believe, get into a relationship when it makes your life better,
Mm.
not worse.
Yeah.
So if this person is making your life better, how are you making his life better or her life better
Mm.
or their life better?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's something that we really need to start thinking about before we get into a relationship or marriage. How am I adding to this? And how is this other person adding to this?
Mm. Interesting. I cannot say that I was far, far away from all this, for sure. Being from the same country and being from the same culture, I can totally relate to all these queries. But something that I've learned is because we don't have this healthy model of what exactly being in a relationship feels like or looks like, because most of the movies are very unrealistic, and our parents dynamic may or may not be healthy that we can refer. So it becomes very difficult to even imagine and to put it down on a piece of paper, or maybe in our heads, that this is what a healthy relationship looks like. So when
Hmm.
you say, it just sounds very, yeah, it's very good, very idealistic. Yeah, this is what it has to be. But on a day to day basis, this is a little difficult to follow, because automatically our brain goes back into that, subconscious gear where we've learned whatever we have so far in these years, and we just operating from that, like you mentioned previously as well. So what would you like to say about that?
Um, I'll actually mention a book here. It's called The Honeymoon Effect by Dr. Bruce Lipton.
Yeah,
And, basically, he says when we are in the initial stages of a relationship, we call it the honeymoon phase.
yeah,
We are operating from a very conscious space. We are very conscious of how we dress up, how we, put ourselves forward. We are putting our best foot forward. We are being the best version of ourselves. We are projecting who we ideally want ourselves to be
yeah,
in a relationship. But as the relationship begins to get old,
yeah,
and life takes over, and which is a very natural thing to happen, different things, different parts of our lives begin to pull our attention and consciousness. That is when we slip into our subconscious ways of being in a relationship.
mm-hmm.
Our subconscious ways would be the ways that we saw our parents or caretakers be in a relationship,
Yeah,
or we saw in the movies, or we saw in our neighborhood,
yeah,
we read in books.
mm-hmm.
Mills and Boons has really, I think it's done more harm than good, because it's projected this image of a knight in a shining armor,
Oh yeah, very.
and it's kind of dehumanized a relationship
Mm,
into a very idealistic figure.
mm,
So, it's important for us to first understand, who do I want to be in a relationship, or let's say, who do I want to be? What kind of a person do I want to be in life?
yeah,
And start being that.
yeah,
You cannot be one person in life and one person in a relationship, because the moment life takes over, like we say, the honeymoon phase is over, you will slip into who you are.
yeah,
And if who you are has some patterns which are not great for a relationship, guess what's going to happen in a relationship?
yeah,
So it's about not taking things for granted. It's about creating the kind of person that you want to be in
yeah,
a relationship. And that will mean you will have to start behaving, thinking, being like this person that you always want to be. You'll also have to start respecting your needs,
yeah.
respecting yourself, respecting your space. And that means having your boundaries, which are healthy, which
Mm.
are not walls of a fortress with no gaps to let even air in.
Yeah,
There'll be like a nice boundary with some flowers and bushes around it, and a nice door, which is inviting, and yet a permission is needed.
yeah, totally. I can so agree with that. Um, Thank you so much for those insightful answers. I'd say um, these queries and these answers and all this discussion has made my mind go, oh my god! like, um, but I'd say, adding to what you just mentioned,
Hmm.
there's another thing that I would like to add from my personal experience, that every time anyone catches themselves having this sort of issue where you don't know whether you're having a boundary issue, or whether you don't love yourself, or something or the other, or there's some sort of issue that you want to confront or you want to solve, you just have to, I think, take a step back and see from an observer's point of view what exactly is happening. Is your expectation unrealistic? Is it coming from a movie? Is it coming from something you've learned? Or is it actually very practical and the other person has an issue, or what needs to be done here to resolve
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
So this is something that I have done many times, and I'd say it really helps. But you know what really helps? Adding
Hmm.
to this as well, navigating and working with your emotions. And because of
Hmm.
that, I'm looking forward to your book launch tomorrow. Happy Inside Out. All the best for your book launch, and I'll see
Thank
you.
you.
I'll see you live during the tomorrow session, and I can't wait to hear all the stories behind the book and whatever went on. Because I remember I was there for a bit, but not completely, because you were doing your own thing, having fever and whatnot. And I don't know what came out after that. I'm still waiting on the books, by the way. But
Okay.
yeah. So looking forward to that, and all the best for the launch. All the best for your book as
Thank
well.
you. Thank you. It's happening tomorrow. And I would really request the viewers to subscribe to my channel.
Mhm.
Push the bell button so that you receive notifications when I go live and when we are having this live too, because we'll be having it very regularly now.
Yeah,
And yeah, I mean, like I say, these are little things that make a lot of difference.
yeah,
Just, not reacting from your emotions, taking care of your needs, your emotions first.
yeah,
Like in an airplane, put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you help somebody else. Same goes for, for relationships too.
yeah,
Self first before you help others.
yeah. Me too. I can see we're having three more queries, which I
Okay.
received just now. But I think
Okay.
I am so sorry, guys. We'll take your questions in the next session, next Saturday, same time, same place, and we will take your session. We will take your questions, and don't worry about missing out or something like that. You can still catch up on this live when we upload it later. And keep sending us your questions. Keep sending us your love and support. It means a lot to us.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And hope to see you tomorrow and next Saturday also. What are we doing next Saturday, Arushi?
Oh, next Saturday we have codependency lined up,
Hmm,
and
that's
dating rules, and who knows, you might get some sneak peek from my personal dating life at the moment. I might just squeeze in some questions if we have time. Let's see.
okay. Sure. Sure. Looking forward to doing that and looking forward to seeing all of you subscribers and on our live next week. And don't forget to join me tomorrow for my book launch, which is Happy Inside Out. And there'll be book readings and some inside stories and a bit about what this book is really about and how to read this, how can you get the most out of this. So yeah, looking forward to doing this. Thank you so much, Arushi, for doing this.
Thank you, Meetu.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. See you.
See you. Bye bye.